Good morning to everyone. We are going to start the second part of CVP analysis. If I recall what we discussed in the previous week, it's basically, as I just told you, the entire CVP analysis deals with three major variables: cost, volume, and profits. Then again, we discussed the scopes of each variable. So we deal with limited explanations. So cost behave in this way, volume behave in that likewise. So limited definition and what is meant by profit. So we discussed then this analysis, CVP analysis deals with within a short time period. That is what we call short-term decision making. That time period is normally known as the relevant range. Then analysis, so decisions are taken based on this particular analysis are within a relevant range. To understand the basic concepts of CVP, we discussed that we deal with a single product environment because entire CVP analysis deals with simple equation. We assume the linearity. Likewise, there are lots of assumptions: linearity assumptions, single product assumption, and the constant nature of the variable cost, because within the relevant range, in one scenario, we assume that things are constant. But in another scenario, you can change the variables if you want. Sometimes fixed cost may change, variable costs may change. Likewise, different situations may arise. That is scenario analysis. But the foundation basis is that the given facts remain unchanged within the relevant range. So that is the basis. Accordingly, we calculated within a relevant range what would be the ideal level of operation for an organization to continue without failing, without collapsing. That point of operation is called break-even point. So a situation where there is no profit, no loss. If there is no profit, no loss, as long as you carry out your operations, business operations, of course, you can continue because no profit, no loss, you simply maintain the status quo. So that won't be a problem. But that particular point helps the managers to take further decisions. So how best the production can be increased, up to what level the production should be increased to have a certain amount of profits, whether the operation should be continued at this level of operation. So likewise, in order to survive in the market or to achieve cooperation objectives and all those things, what kind of things are required to be done in order to push the break-even point up or the profit up, and how to manage other costs and the volumes and all those things. So these are the things we discussed. Now today we are going to discuss a multi-product CVP analysis. So multi-product, then more than one product, but basic assumption of doing the calculation is based on a single product. So therefore, again, remember all the principles that we discussed under single product CVP analysis remain valid for multi-product analysis. But in the case of multi-product analysis, what we do, we use a technique. We assume that all the products, multi-products, that mean more than two, be two, actually more than one we can take, right? Then that is multi 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 25, whatever. In a real life organizations, of course, organizations deal with either sell or manufacture and sell multi-products. a wide range of products are dealt with, different profit margins, different volumes, different demands for the products and supply. You have so many constraints and likewise. So that is the situation. But if we take those realities into multi-product situation, through CVP analysis, we can't analyze. So therefore, what we do at the outset of multi-product analysis, we make another assumption, additional assumption. What is this additional assumption? In a case of multi-product, we assume that the product mix or the sales mix is constant within the relevant range. Even if you have 25 products, if you sell 25 units of product 1 and 50 units of product 2, then we assume that this particular proportion is maintained throughout the relevant range. In other words, we use the concept called product mix. We have a mix. This particular mix is maintained constantly within the relevant range. Therefore, likewise, some strategies also would be there in the organizations, what we call product bundling. They sell products as a bundle. Therefore, product bundling concept goes along with multi-product. So nevertheless, even beyond product bundling, we make this particular assumption and analyze and determine how many units should be produced, what would be the sales value if you maintain this particular product mix within the relevant range. Based on that, you can go for further decisions. So here, for the simplicity, one example has been given. Someone says you can't see the slideshow, but don't others see the slideshow? Yeah. So it should be seen because I have shared the screen. So entire screen, so whatever so appearing on my screen must be seen. Maybe if someone cannot see, please check your computer. Should be something wrong with your machine. Okay, the first one, BEP is calculated in units. The total fixed cost, that is the first target. Fixed cost has to be recovered or covered by the contribution. So therefore, we take the contribution here as a single package. If you have 5 products, what is the average or the package contribution, and divide the fixed cost by that, it would be your answer. Here, just arbitrary numbers are given, don't worry about all those things. We will take a real example. This is activity number 6.7. Okay, read this question. So this has been taken from your manual, activity 6.7. It is a typical case of a product mix is maintained in a product bundling situation: baby cream, baby soap, and baby powder. 1 bottle of baby cream, 1 baby soap, and 2 baby powder. The cost structure is also given. Selling price and the variable cost is given, direct material cost. But the first picture, it is a little bit blurred, but you can refer to your manual. Cost per unit: direct material 80, direct labor 20, direct other costs, other direct costs, variable overheads. The same structure has been given for 3 products. Additional information says that monthly fixed cost, this talks about a month. So then what is your relevant range? A month. Current monthly production capacity is 300,000 packs. So as a ordinary person who can read and understand, basic things and who has basic knowledge about mathematics, try to solve this problem. Number of units to be produced from each product per month to reach BEP. Or before that, if you wish, you can calculate the number of bundles to be manufactured to be break even. Then you can think of the number of units, total units. First, you can calculate the total units for the month to be break even. Then the total units can be divided into 3 products. So that is number 1. Logically, think rationally. Don't follow any formulas and all those things. Like you can make it because you have this idea in your mind. Then the second one, scenario is change sensitivity. If the management of this limited expects to make a net profit, now as of now we do not know what the profit is going to be. Now you have a fixed cost of 72 million. Additional 60 million profit is also required by this company. If that's the case, your target to recover from your contribution is fixed cost plus this 60 million profit. If you can recover it, that means that is your level. Then identify these both levels, BEP level and the level at which 60 million profit can be earned. So I'll give you 5 minutes to work out. Till then, I will pause the recording because there is no point, and someone please remind me to. Okay. Yes, thank you for reminding me. Someone just reminded. I resumed recording. Okay. The answer, yes, most of you guys had given the correct answer. Number of bundles, break-even packs, 120,000. Since there are 4 units in a pack, what are the 4 units? 1 baby cream and 1 shampoo, or what is it? Whatever. Soap, 1 cream, and 2 powder. So therefore, physically there are 4 units. So therefore, 4 multiplied by 120, 480. So in accounting, the calculations are very easy. It's not a big deal of multiplying, but understanding is the most important. What do we do with this? Okay, we will come to that point later. Now everyone did it, but for your simplicity of understanding, maybe you can use an Excel sheet or any other format. Better to have a breakup like this. Even in the examination, since if you can quickly calculate it, you can take it as it is. The contribution and the break-even packs. But just to make sure that nothing has gone wrong, you better do a reconciliation like this: cream, soap, powder, selling price is given. So here you got to be very careful since there are 2 units. Powder 2 units, 200 into 2, 4. Accordingly, this is the point where in case if you have gone wrong, so this is the place. You may forget to double it, multiply it by 2. Direct material needs to be double, direct labor, overheads, direct cost, and variable overheads. Likewise, I use this annotation. Okay. Right. Then this is the contribution, 325 logically. So yes, difference between this variable cost and so you can see variable cost and the selling price 325. Selling price is likewise. Now this is what we call the 600 is the unit contribution, what we call combined unit. Another term comes in, combined unit. You got to be very careful when you use a combined unit. That is one. But simply to calculate the total, like So if you use the combined contribution and divide the total fixed, so this is the amount to be recovered, that is 72 million. 72 million divided by this will give you this much, 120,000. So that is the number of bundles. So most of you guys had got that answer. But if you want to find out the number of units, then you need to go for the average contribution, not the bundle contribution. This 600 is the bundle contribution. Average contribution is simply divided. In that case, we don't do anything. Since there are 2 units, 1, 1, 2, 4, take the total contribution, divide it by 4, it becomes 150. So therefore, no matter how the units are distributed among 4 products, per one unit, on average, it gives 150 rupees. That's it. If you have that much contribution from one unit, divide the total fixed cost by that, it will give you 480. That's it. Very simple. You got it? So by the same way, you can use some other concept, but in this particular question, what you ask is the break-even number, the break-even units bundles. If you simply write down the answer as 120,000, so your answer is correct, you get full marks, need not to do any other thing. But for our understanding purposes, you can go further, use the CS ratio as well to determine the break-even level or the value of. So what is the CS ratio? CS ratio is 60%. 600 over 1000. 600 over 1000. So therefore, if you divide 72,000 by 60%, automatically it gives you 120 million sales. Okay. One question, like someone has asked, why the average contribution is calculated? Why? Finally, okay, good question. So here, this answer, if you take 120, that is the number of bundles. In a bundle, there are 4. Therefore, the total number of units, mixture, product mixture, cream, soap, powder, it comes to, total comes to 480. So you can calculate this 480 without calculating the average contribution. Then 600, 120 multiplied by 4, because you need to know total number of units. So bundles, of course, that is true, but final decisions you need to take with respect to each product, how much should be produced, powder, how much, cream, how much, soap, how much. In order to do this calculation and do a reconciliation, you need to know the total number. So therefore, instead of going in that way, directly you can reach this number by taking the average contribution, right? So 400 per unit, 150. Therefore, irrespective of the contribution differences of each product, if you divide 72 million by 150, it should be 480. You can check the number, because I have just done this thing in the Excel and taken, if you want, yeah, I think so number is correct. So later I'll go to the Excel sheet and show you. Okay. Yeah. Hope that you got the point. Why do you need to calculate the average contribution? Because this average contribution helps you to determine the total number of units, not the bundle, not the parcel, not the packs. Even that information may be useful when we are going to draw a profit chart or break-even graph. So we will be doing that as well. Then you would realize the importance of calculating this average break-even. So average is a central tendency measure. It tells you on average, if you produce any product, you get 150. But yeah, you maintain your product mix, of course. That is the idea, right? Meaning of average. Sometimes average might give you misleading information, but it has a particular meaning. So for example, GDP per capita. GDP per capita of a country, what does it mean? How much is the GDP per capita? It is almost 4,000 US dollars per annum per individual. So if you multiply it by 200, it's now 800,000 divided by 12 per person. It is then more than 70,000, right? 70,000, maybe 75,000 something. So per person in your family, there are 4 people. What does it mean? Per person, it should be 75,000 into 4, it should be 300,000. Then you should ask a question, huh? Huh? So does my family have a 300,000 income per month? If that, like, if your family income is somewhere around 300,000, that indicator is much more meaningful. It does not mean that exactly you have 300. So maybe 250, 200, another person 400, 500. The dispersion is limited, then not that much, not that wide. But everyone knows that it's a fact. So these are the things you should ask. So large majority of Sri Lankan are struggling to live. They may earn even less than 50,000 per month. Some just manage with 20, 30,000 rupees, some even less than that. We don't have that much information, but we know how hard they are struggling to live. So therefore, that average is useless information, right? But you have to understand the significance of average. Significance of average. When you take the total value, you can make use that average and multiply it by the total number, get it. So therefore, the average contribution 150 multiplied by 480 will give you the total contribution. Total contribution is exactly equivalent to fixed cost. So another relationship can be identified. In some case, suppose that a particular question has given you total fixed cost, or some information is there, you can ascertain the total fixed cost. Question asked, right? So you may be given lots of information, complicated information, and all these things, right? If a question asks, what is the total contribution at the break-even point? If you are smart enough, need not to read anything, just take the value of fixed cost. Your total contribution at the time of break-even is that much. Got it? So th- that is the importance of this average and each point. I mean, the statistics shown there. Now, just analysis. The same answer for the part one. We do the analysis. How this break-even number of units, 480, or the total number of bundles, 120, has been divided among 3 products. Cream, soap, powder, as a proportion or the percentage, it is 25, 25, 50. 1, 1, 2. So very simple calculation. So if it is 480, then 120, 120, 240. If you go ahead with the bundle of 120, then 120 for each bundle there is one product from cream. Therefore, 120 into 1. You have to multiply it by 1. The second one also, so 1 soap, 120 into 1. In the case of powder, it is 2. Therefore, 120 into 2. So total number of units can be taken. That is the summation of these 3 numbers. It's 480,000. Multiplied by individual selling price, it will come to this. Here again, you got to be very careful. Here selling price is 200, not 400, because we talk about a single unit, not the bundle now. That is how the total sales value comes to 120 million. So in the CVP analysis, without having this detailed analysis, you were able to calculate this 120 million by dividing 72 million by what? CS ratio. Very simple. So different ways are there to calculate this break-even sales value, because break-even unit is 120 bundles. uh, Price of a bundle is 1000, therefore 120 into 1000 is 120 million. Just see, actually what's most important is this, I mean, understanding of this relationship, and not this number, whether I accurately read this number. Hmm? Always logically argue, if this is correct, and why why doesn't it tally with the other? Or you may argue, if this is the case, it should agree with this reconciliation, finally total number and all this. So I took little relatively more time to explain you this multi-product scenario. Why this multi-product scenario? Without understanding these interrelationships, interconnectedness, and these reconciliations, if you simply use a formula or calculate, and if you are going to be happy with 120,000 and 400,000 and this answer, actually you have not learned anything. Not learned anything. You would be in trouble. But if you try to understand this and articulate these things in your mind, yes, of course, you are through. You will never ever forget this for any examination. So this CVP analysis can be used in highly complex situations, like even heavy manufacturing, aircraft manufacturing, shipbuilding, and all those things. So we can use. Okay, how do we get the proportion of each product? So very simple. Here in the bundle, it says that cream, 1 unit of cream, 1 unit of soap, 2 units of powder, altogether 4 units. 1 out of 4 is 25. 1 out of 4 is 25. Second one, 2 out of 4. So now you see, like, if you do not question these things and simply follow what we say and apply formulas, you don't learn nothing. So good question, even a simple question, if you do not understand, please ask it, right? Because calculation is not complex. But if you do not know how it has been taken, why it has been taken in that way, what is the significance of proportion, then you may struggle. Oh, the calculation of this 25%, 50%, and all this thing would be a big deal. It's nothing. And so if you have just put this data into your program, Excel sheet, or wherever, it's a matter of few seconds. What matters is the finally how best we are going to make is these things for final decisions. Okay. Further analysis of this question. Oh, sorry, the second part of this question. It's okay, I'll just explain the answer now you have done it. Second part, the question says you expect a profit of 60 million. Therefore, the contribution from all the products must be able to recover not only 72 million, but also 60 million as well. So that is your break-even point. And how do you calculate the break-even point then? 72 plus 60. 72 plus 60 divided by 150, it will give you total number of 880. Or if you divide it by 600, it will give you an answer of 220. 220. If you want, I can show this thing how to do this calculation by using Excel. Sorry. Then go to Excel. You can see, yeah, this is the calculation. Second calculation, what do you do? When a profit is You see, your amount to be recovered is 132 million. I hope you can see it. 132 million. So this is the target. So this is the ultimate cost that you need to recover from your contribution. Each package gives you 600. So therefore very logical, right? Each package 600, that means if you produce one package, you would be able to recover only 600 rupees from this. So to know the total number, you simply divide 132 million by 600. It tells you that, hey guys, you have to produce and sell 220 bundles to do this. 220 bundles means you have to multiply it by 4, 880. Then we go to the analysis. So one question is there, can we apply any short method to calculate these values? Example 72. Yes. So actually, so here is the yes. So your question is, this is the answer. The short method is this part. This is it. That's it. 220. Then you can divide. Actually, this analysis has been given for further understanding only. It is not for the examination purpose. For example, if you get the same question at the examination and you are asked to calculate the number of packs to be produced or number of units to be produced at the level where the company expects 60 million profit, yes, of course, quickly you should go to your calculator or whatever, take the total amount to be recovered, that is 132 million. That is what is shown there, divided by simply 600. So 220, if you say that, you need to be very specific, right? So you can't say 220 units. You have to say that the level of production should be 220 packs or 880 units. That's it. But if question asks, you need to mention the number of items to be produced from each unit, then this answer is not adequate. Then you have to say cream, soap, powder, multiply this like 1:2 ratio. 1 into this, then cream 220 as that is shown here. Then this analysis would be useful only for that purpose. You got it? Right. I hope it's clear. If there is any other question, please ask. I just gave this additional analysis for you to understand it. So this is the only calculation that we do with respect to multi-product. Because of that reason, you should ask any other questions or the things you have some concerns. Then this analysis tells you this is an extra. This is not asked in the question. This is not asked in the question, but for our understanding, we do it. What's that? How the contribution is divided among different products. So this is with respect to the first scenario, not with the profit, BEP situation, where the total package, number of package is 120, total number of units 480. So of them, 120 from cream, soap 120 from soap, 240 from powder. Then in the calculation Excel sheet, you can see the contribution from each item. Then multiply it by 325 like this, 75 like this, 100, it will give you this. So therefore 72 is the total contribution. That is why I told you total contribution is at break even. Remember, not always. Total contribution at break even is exactly as same as the total fixed cost. Okay, we will move on to the next. Now the second approach, that's why I told you this is the only question we tried and used. I can give you a few minutes if you have any concerns or questions to ask. Is that difficult? I think CVP analysis is the most easiest lesson in the management accounting, because calculation, with respect to calculation, but with respect to decision making, it's really complex. It's not that easy, but that area cannot be tested to great extent in the examination. In the examination, we test you only calculation and basic analysis and these analytical parts, and not that much decision making part. Decision making part is also will also be tested, but not up to a great extent. Any question? So silence implies that there are no questions. Okay, now I will move on. I hope that the speed at which I speak is all right for you guys. I purposely now, to some extent, I've learned to reduce my speed of speaking. In physical lectures, actually sometimes without knowing, I continue to speak very fast. But in online teaching now, I also learn a little bit how to reduce my speed. And that's good learning, yes. Okay, one question is there. So there is another question regarding, okay, not respect to the lesson. So I'll talk, give an answer to that question later. So there's a question. So could you please explain how can we get the quantity of each product? Okay, carefully listen. So if you did not understand it, that's very important, because this is an area where students struggle. We'll take both scenarios here. This situation is without this 60 million expected profit. Our target was to calculate the break-even point. I hope that break-even point of 120 or 480 is all right, like you understand it. Fixed cost divided by. Now, I can explain this in two ways. One is taking the bundle. That's what it depends on how you do the calculation. Normally what I follow is I do not calculate the break-even point in bundles if I am not specifically asked. So therefore I advise you, in the examination, it is much better for you guys to calculate the break-even number of units, not the bundle, not the number of bundles, total number of units, by using the average contribution. That is the importance of calculating average importance. But the questions ask you to calculate the bundle, then you to take the bundle contribution, or what we call combined contribution. So here, if you have calculated the combined break-even point, that is, if you have used the combined contribution, your answer is the combined, that is the bundle, break-even bundle, that is 120. Now you need to divide this 120 bundle into products. In order to do this thing, you need to know the product mix. So that is the key, product mix. Sometimes product mix may be given as 10%, 5%, 25%, 50%. So accordingly, you have to do this. Sometimes the product mix, as in this particular question, is given as numbers 1, 1, 2. That is the mix. 1, 1, 2 means 25%, 25%, 50. Or even you can take 1, 1, 2. In every bundle, there is 1 unit of cream. Every bundle, there is 1 unit of cream. So therefore, 1 into 120. Number of bundle is 120. So therefore, 120 into 120. There is a single unit, 1 unit in every bundle. Therefore, 120 into 120 for the soap. Mind that in the case of powder, there are 2 units in every bundle. Every bundle, there's 2. So therefore, 2 into 120, 240. This is how it becomes. Okay. If you apply the other approach, that is fixed cost 72 million divided by the average contribution of 150, you end up with 400 units. That means total number of units. That is the total. You got it? That's the total. So from the total, you need to ascertain the number of units for cream, soap, and powder. So if you divide 72 million by 150, your answer is 480. 480 means the total number of units, irrespective of the number of bundles. So forget about it. Total number. That means both cream, soap, powder, everything. Assume that you have stored all those things in one particular storeroom. 480,000 units are seen. Then you need to separate. How are you going to separate? Then you need to use this proportion of them all together. We assume a bundle contains 4. Therefore, this is the total. This is a combination of 4. Of this 4, 25%, that is 1 goes for cream. Therefore, divide 420 divided by 4 multiplied by 1, or simply you can apply the percentage. So this is how it is calculated. I hope it is very clear, but still if it is not clear, please ask. So there is a question in absorption costing overhead, 2 parts as variable and fixed. When we calculate overhead absorption rate, we should use only fixed cost or both variable. Oh, okay, I'll let me finish this first. Okay, I hope this is clear. So is that clear to you? Right? Is that clear to you? Okay. So now it's not directly related to this particular the topic, but anyway, someone has asked, in absorption costing, if overhead has 2 parts as variable overheads and fixed overhead, when we calculating overhead absorption rate, we should use only fixed or both variable overheads, or fixed or variable. Okay, good question. In a way, like I'll try to relate it. In absorption costing, right, we should not get it confused with the notion of variable, right? In that case, direct and indirect, remember? Some fixed cost may be indirect. So our notions, we need to use, in the case of ascertainment of the costs of products, different cost classifications. Some fixed cost may be what you call indirect, some fixed cost may be direct. If that is the case, even fixed cost would be taken into uh, taken as direct cost. In the case of absorption, actually you need not to worry about whether it is variable or fixed. You need to ask a question whether it is direct or indirect. In most of the cases, it is unlikely that a variable cost would be indirect. Why? Variable cost varies when the volume changes. Variable cost varies when the volume changes. Therefore, it is very well known that it goes along with the production. It is more likely to be direct. Then take it. It is unlikely that such cost would be included in the indirect overhead calculation. Okay, so good question, because the cost classifications are used for different purposes. That is why when it comes to CVP analysis, we simply keep the cost classifications away. Don't get it confused with other costs such as indirect, direct, relevant, irrelevant, sunk cost, opportunity cost. There are so many other costs calculation. Forget about all those things. That's why I just told you in CVP analysis, we deal with variable and fixed. If there is any other cost, try to put into these baskets. If you can't do that, forget about it. And then we can multiply by number of packs. Yes, 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 of course. So one has just asked the question. It's perfectly all right, correct. Any other questions? Is the answer clear to you? The who asked about this overhead question? Is that clear, or do you need further clarification? I hope it's clear. Okay, very good. So we will move. So now you understand that if you question things, if you try to understand logically with a very free mind in a simple manner, actually the learning from this lesson is very tiny, insignificant things. So throughout 3 hour or maybe more than 2 hour, due to some other reason, what we are going to learn is nothing. You know, we have this fabricated. So you can simplify the learning process if you logically look into these arguments. Right. I think let me break the recording, otherwise just uploading would be difficult.